Hey, what's up, everybody? Frederic Poag here. And it's time for another installment of What Is It Wednesday? And today, we're talking about gerrymandering. But before we get into that, please like and subscribe. It helps me out. And if you want to see my face again, it helps out with that too. All right, let's get into it. So recently, Texas Democrats left the state of Texas in order to deny Governor Greg Abbott, who was acting at the behest of Donald Trump, a special legislative session to where they could eliminate or gerrymander all the congressional districts that were Democrat. And the reason they were Democrat is, well, the Texas state legislature already gerrymandered the state heavily in favor of the Republicans. But what is a gerrymander? Well, if you've ever seen the congressional maps they put up on the TV screen during the election, and you've noticed that maybe they don't look so much like an actual district people live in, and more like a kindergartner that went crazy after ingesting too much sugar. But these lines aren't just funny drawings. They're a political puzzle. And when we understand how that puzzle works and how the pieces fit together, we can understand what's wrong with our country. See, gerrymandering was started by a guy named Elbridge Gerry back in 1812. He was the governor of Massachusetts who once said it was his duty to live for the country. He then approved a redistricting plan that was so comically partisan, a newspaper editor at the time looked at the map and said, "That looks like a salamander." To which Gerry famously quipped back that it was actually a gerrymander. I guess they had bad puns even back then. Anyway, the name stuck, even if Gerry pronounced his name with a hard G instead of a soft, flaccid one. At the heart of this gerrymander creature is the idea that politicians can choose their voters and not the other way around. Now, there are two main strategies behind these crazy maps, and they're called packing and cracking. So I want you to imagine a district or a big group of voters, and that in order to rig the game for your side, you can either pack them into a single district so that your side can win by a huge margin, or if they're the opposition, you can crack them and spread them out across 4, 5, or even more districts, so your opposition becomes a tiny, powerless minority in each one of those districts. The reason gerrymandering is effective is because once you realize you only need so many votes to win based on the population that's in your district, you start to draw the lines to where you tilt it in favor of your side. And what's the net result of gerrymandering? Well, instead of picking up, say, 1 or 2 districts, if you spread them out evenly, or you had voters that actually could pick their elected representatives, you might be able to pick up 3 or 4, which translates into your side having even more power. And this has led to some truly bizarre maps, like Maryland's praying mantis district or Pennsylvania's goofy kicking Donald Duck district. But these aren't just funny shapes. They're real world attacks on communities. They make it harder for people to organize and have their voices heard. Now, both Democrats and Republicans have used these tactics, proving that this problem is one that transcends party loyalty. For years, the Supreme Court was the main referee, but in 2019, they decided federal courts couldn't hear these claims anymore, essentially saying the states had to solve it themselves. And this brings us to this major moment recently in Texas. See, like I stated at the jump, the Republican-led legislature started a special session to redraw the state's map to add 5 more Republican-leaning districts. A Republican lawmaker was quoted as saying the maps were drawn based on political performance, which is really a surprisingly clear admission of what their true intention was. Democrats, in a dramatic act of protest, left the state to deny a quorum, sparking a standoff that shows just how high the stakes are. But what gerrymandering really puts the question to us is that a true majority of a people in a state where they're not represented? Isn't that exactly what we fought an American Revolution over? No taxation without representation? Well, it's not in the literal sense because everyone has a representative, but gerrymandering can create an unrepresented majority by essentially making their votes worthless. The best modern example of this is Wisconsin in 2018. Democrats won over 53% of the statewide vote, but only got 37.5% of the state seats. Gerrymandering isn't just a political problem. It's a call to action. Because here's what we can do about it. We can support things like independent redistricting commissions to take power out of the politicians' hands, or constitutional amendments at the state level to stop either party from engaging in gerrymandering. Because when the lines are fair, our votes truly have the power that they should in order to shape our future. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Keep the faith, defend democracy, and I'll see you later.